Welcome back, traveler. Tonight, we're going to slowly explore the psychology of lucid dreams, letting our minds wander gently through its story. But first, let's float to the edge of wakefulness. Not quite asleep, not quite awake. That quiet space in between, where the thoughts begin to stretch and yawn, where your body gets heavier, and the world feels like it's made of soft cotton. Picture this. You're lying in a hammock, rocked gently by a breeze that doesn't rush. You can still hear the world around you, a soft creak of wood, maybe a faint bird call, but it all feels far away, like echoes underwater. Your eyelids flutter once, twice, and suddenly the boundary between what's real and what's imagined starts to melt. This is the threshold, the doorway, the bridge that connects the waking world to the dreaming one. In psychology, this gentle gateway is sometimes called hypnagogia, a twilight state where dreams begin to stir even before you're fully asleep. Let's imagine that for a moment. You're in a twilight meadow. The sun is dipping below the horizon, but hasn't quite gone. Shadows stretch long, and the air is full of whispers, not scary, just curious. The grass waves slowly like a sea of green velvet, and just ahead, there's a door standing in the field. No walls, no roof, just the door. And it's open. You feel drawn toward it, but not with urgency, just gentle curiosity. Behind it is the dream. This is where lucidity starts to take root. Not in the middle of a story, but in the silence before the story begins. When you're on this edge, your mind is loosening. Logic starts to doze off. The inner critic, that voice that asks, "Does this make sense?" starts to fade into the background. And that's when imagery can rise, like bubbles from deep underwater. Strange faces, old places, glowing colors, sudden flashes of memory. They float up, not to scare you, but to begin sketching a dream. Picture this. A single glowing thread appears in the air. It hums softly. Then another thread appears, and another, and soon they're weaving a net. A gentle cocoon of imagination. You're wrapped in it now. The physical world becomes velvet soft static. Your body is asleep, but your mind is watching. Just enough. That moment, that tiny sliver of space, between thought and no thought, is the birth of the lucid state. Sometimes, if you catch yourself right there, you can step through the dream door fully aware, knowing you are dreaming. It's rare, it's delicate, but it happens. Some call this a wake-initiated lucid dream, when you stay conscious even as the dream begins, like staying awake while your body drifts out to sea. But don't worry about the names tonight. Just feel it. Feel how the world dims not with fear, but with softness. How your thoughts slow down, become waves, then ripples, then still water. You are at the threshold now, and just on the other side of this soft silence is the dream. Float here with me for a moment longer. Let your breath be slow, your thoughts like mist. No rush. When you're ready, we'll gently step deeper into the dream. Now that we've stepped past the threshold, let's picture where dreams begin to form, in a place that's quiet but alive, still but brimming with potential, like a stage just before the curtain rises. Imagine your mind as an ancient theater, carved not from stone, but from memory, emotion, and imagination. You're sitting in the center seat. But there's no audience, no noise, no spotlight. Only you and the dream slowly beginning to build around you. Let's imagine that for a moment. The walls of this theater aren't made of bricks. They're made of every image you've ever seen, every person you've loved, feared, missed, or forgotten, every sound you've heard in passing, a laugh, a whisper, the wind outside your childhood window. It's all there, softly stacked like story paint on invisible walls. The ceiling? A vast sky of swirling thought. Sometimes it rains symbols. Sometimes it glows with impossible stars. And the floor beneath your feet? It shifts. Sometimes it becomes grass. Sometimes tile. Sometimes the surface of the moon. This is your dream stage. And each night, your mind becomes a silent playwright. No scripts, no rehearsals, just pure, free imagination. Now gently float with me to how it all begins. It starts with fragments, a color, a shape, a familiar voice calling your name from somewhere far off, even though no one's there. Then the fragments grow arms and legs. They walk. They build houses. They paint skies. They spin entire universes in seconds. Your dream doesn't ask if it makes sense. It doesn't care if the sky is upside down, or if a mountain has a door in it, or if your childhood dog is suddenly speaking perfect French. The dream accepts everything. It flows like a river that doesn't need a map. And the strange part? You do too. When you're dreaming, you rarely question the impossible. Because inside the theater of the mind, logic is just another costume. But sometimes you notice something odd. You look at your hands, and they don't look quite right. You check your phone, and the screen is blank. You try to read a sign, and the letters squirm. And suddenly, you realize, I'm dreaming. That moment of clarity is called lucidity. But before we get there, it helps to understand this. Dreams are not just movies your brain plays for fun. They're deeply emotional, symbolic performances. Every character might be you, or a part of you, or a memory trying to wear a different face. Picture this. A house in your dream might not just be a house. It might be your mind, the attic full of dusty memories, the basement, your fears, the kitchen, your comfort. A locked door in that house? Maybe it's something you haven't faced yet. Dreams speak in metaphors, not sentences. They use imagery instead of instructions. And they build their worlds from emotion first, logic second. That's why even the wildest, most surreal dreams can feel real. Because the feelings are real. And that's all the mind needs to believe a story. Let's pause there and picture it one last way. Your mind is a painter. Each night, it dips its brush into memory, mood, and imagination. And it paints a world that only you can walk through. Some nights, that world feels random, like a collage of nonsense. But other nights, it feels like something more, like a secret being whispered from deep inside you. Like the dream is trying to speak. Not with words, but with scenes, with colors, with feelings you didn't even know you were carrying. And now that we understand this stage, this soft, shimmering theater inside the mind, we're ready to step deeper into the moment, when the curtain lifts and you realize you're dreaming. But you're not just dreaming, you're awake in the dream. And that changes everything. Let's gently move there when you're ready. Picture this. You're standing in a field you've never seen before. The grass is violet. The sky is green. There's a castle made of glass in the distance, and two suns hang low on the horizon. None of it alarms you, because in this dream, this is just how things are. You begin to walk, but then something feels off. The grass doesn't crunch under your feet. The wind moves, but your hair doesn't. You see someone wave at you from far away, but they have your face. And then it happens. That quiet flicker inside your chest, that pause in the air, the stillness before a sudden, soft knowing. Wait a second. I'm dreaming. That's it. That's the moment. The mind stretches open like a window, and light pours into the dream. Lucidity has arrived. Let's imagine that for a moment. It's like waking up twice, once from the world, and once inside the world you created. Everything becomes a little more vivid. The colors brighten, the sounds deepen. You look at your hands. Maybe they ripple slightly, maybe not. You breathe and realize you can feel your dream lungs moving. And for the first time in the dream, you know you're dreaming. But here's the beautiful thing. You don't wake up. Not yet. Because now you're floating between two rivers. One of sleep, one of consciousness, and you're gently paddling both. This is the lucid state, a rare and curious awareness that whispers, you're safe, you're sleeping, but you are in control. Now gently float with me to what that control feels like. Imagine you're holding a brush and the air is your canvas. With a thought, you paint a waterfall in the sky. With a whisper, you turn night into morning. With a smile, you fly. Not because the dream gave you wings, but because you realized you never needed them. In lucid dreams, physics takes a nap, and the laws of your world are written by belief. You can walk through walls, Not because the wall isn't real, but because you know it's not. You can talk to people who don't exist and still feel heard. You can revisit moments long gone and see them differently, gently, safely, from the cushion of your own mind. Some people use this clarity to explore, to fly over oceans, or visit impossible cities made of stardust and fog. Others use it to heal, to face a fear, to speak to someone they miss, to practice kindness toward themselves. And some simply float, knowing that in this moment they are the dreamer and the dream. But lucidity is delicate, like a soap bubble. Push too hard, get too excited, and it pops. You'll wake, and that's okay, because even a few seconds of awareness in a dream can leave a lasting warmth in your waking mind. Let's imagine that now. You wake in your bed, sunlight softly pressing through the curtains, and you remember, I knew I was dreaming. And somehow, the day feels lighter, because something inside you stretched, grew wings, touched freedom for a moment. In a world with no ceiling, that is the power of waking inside the dream. It's not about control. It's not about ego. It's about wonder, a remembering that you are more than just thoughts and tasks and clocks. You are a dreamer, and sometimes the dream knows your name. Let's rest here for a moment. Breath slow, mind quiet. And when you're ready, we'll wander next into a quieter room of the mind, where dreams and memory sit side by side, like old friends by a fire. Now, let's imagine your mind as a quiet hallway made of mirrors. Each one is fogged just slightly, as though they've just exhaled. As you walk slowly down this hallway, barefoot, gentle, you notice that in each mirror a different memory flickers. Not like a video, not clear or crisp, but more like a scent, a moment, a warm blur you almost recognize. This is how memory lives inside dreams, not as exact copies of the past, but as soft paintings of what once was, unfinished, unframed, still drying at the edges. Dreams don't remember the way waking minds do. They don't alphabetize. They don't worry about dates or logic. Instead, they drift. They mix and merge. They pull memories like threads and weave them into new shapes. Some familiar, some strange, some stitched together with feelings instead of facts. Now gently float with me to a moment from your past. Let's say you remember your childhood home, not the address, not the layout, but the way the carpet felt on your knees, the smell of rain against the window, the sound of a parent's voice calling you to dinner. In a dream, you might return to that house. But now it has 3 staircases instead of 1. Your old dog is there, but speaking in your cousin's voice. Your bedroom leads into a train station, and no one questions it. That's because dreams store memories in feeling first. structure second. They ask not what happened, but how did that moment make you feel? And because of that, the mind blends memory like watercolor. Red from one memory bleeds into blue from another and becomes something entirely new. A scene that never happened but feels completely real. Picture this. You're walking through a dream forest. The trees are tall, ancient, glowing slightly. As you pass them, you realize each tree holds a memory. You reach out and touch the bark, and suddenly, you're 10 years old again, riding a bike down a summer sidewalk. The leaves rustle like laughter. The air smells like sunscreen and popsicles. But then you blink, and the sidewalk becomes a hallway, your school. But the lockers are painted like stars, and your teacher has your best friend's face. None of it happened, and yet all of it did, in pieces. That's the dream's mirror. It shows you not just what you've seen, but what you've felt, what you've buried, what you're ready to reimagine. Some lucid dreamers return to these memories on purpose, to revisit someone they've lost, to heal a wound, to offer a hug they never got to give. Not because the dream is the person, but because it holds the essence of them. And the mind? It sometimes accepts that, because comfort doesn't need to be logical. It just needs to be felt. Let's pause for a moment here. Breathe softly. Imagine standing in front of a still pond. It's dusk. The air is cool and golden. And as you peer into the water, you see memories ripple through the surface. Some close, some distant, some just shadows that make your heart ache without a name. And yet, you feel calm, because here, in this place, you are safe to explore, to remember, to forget gently, to let go of what no longer needs to be carried. Dreams may not hold perfect records, but they do hold echoes. And those echoes, when you're listening, can teach you something about who you were and who you're still becoming. Let that thought sit with you, like mist on a window. And when you're ready, we'll continue deeper into the emotional currents of the dream, where feelings grow wings and shape the skies around you.
Now gently float with me to a place made not of walls, but of wind. A sky that stretches in every direction. Clouds that pulse with color. Not just white or gray, but shades of emotion. Deep blues of longing. Warm pinks of joy. Stormy reds of fear. And golden light that glows like love remembered. Here, in the dreaming mind, your emotions aren't just feelings. They are architects. They build the dream. Let's imagine that for a moment. You're standing in a dream, and it begins to rain. But it's not just water falling from the sky. It's something softer, more personal. Each droplet carries a mood, a whisper from the heart. You reach out your hand and feel it. A memory of laughter the weight of a goodbye, a thrill of hope. The raindrops aren't cold or wet, they're warm with recognition, like your own story falling back down from the sky. In waking life, we often try to manage emotions, to box them up, to explain them. But dreams don't need explanations. They feel first, and then they build from that. That's why a nightmare might begin with something small, like being late for a class you never took, and spiral into a tidal wave of anxiety. Or why a happy dream may bloom out of a single smile, a reunion with someone you love, a moment of flying over fields of light with no fear of falling. Lucid dreaming gives you the rare chance to notice these emotions while they happen, to ask gently, why am I feeling this? Where is this taking me? Not to control the dream, but to understand its weather. Let's pause and picture this together. You're in a dream garden, but instead of flowers, emotions grow here. You walk slowly through rows of them. Tall, golden stalks of joy, low vines of worry, soft blue petals of sadness, and trees whose leaves shimmer with peace. You reach out and touch one. Suddenly, the scenery around you shifts. Not in chaos, but like a gentle ripple through a lake. You're now standing on a beach. The waves are calm, the sun is warm, and your chest feels lighter because the emotion you touched was forgiveness. Dreams let you feel emotions fully, without interruption, without judgment. And when you're lucid, you can learn to breathe inside them rather than run from them. Fear becomes a door, not a wall. Love becomes a sky with no ceiling. Grief becomes a tide. Powerful, but not permanent. Even confusing emotions, jealousy, anger, shame, can appear in dreams not to punish you, but to ask for your attention. Like a child tugging at your sleeve, saying, "Please understand me." In this way, lucid dreams are not escapes. They are invitations to feel more deeply, more safely, more honestly. Let's pause here together. Feel the wind in your dream sky. Notice how it changes with your breath. Maybe today was heavy. Maybe you're carrying something. But here in this sky, you can let that weight drift upward and be held. Because in the dream, you are always being listened to, even by yourself, especially by yourself. When we return, we'll meet the inner architects, the mysterious builders who help shape these dreams from within, often without us even knowing. But for now, just breathe and let your feelings stretch their wings. Now, close your eyes in your mind. Take a soft breath and picture yourself inside a glowing library. It's vast, so vast you can't see the walls. Endless rows of shelves stretch into the soft shadows. each filled not with books, but with symbols, sounds, colors, and memories. This is your subconscious, the quiet builder, the architect behind the scenes, the dreamer behind the dream. Let's imagine that for a moment. There's no one in the library at first, just the quiet flicker of candlelight, the soft rustle of unseen pages, and then movement. Figures begin to appear. Not people exactly, more like silhouettes made of thought. Some tall and graceful, made of old memories. Some quick and nimble, darting between shelves, like sparks of imagination. One might be made of music, another of scent, a third of language. These are the dream builders. And every night as you drift into sleep, they begin to work. They don't need instructions. They don't follow rules. They gather pieces from your day. A passing thought, a moment of doubt, a wish you didn't say out loud, and they build worlds from it. Let's float to that process now. Imagine one of these builders walking through a room of drawers. They pull one open, a childhood friend's voice. They pull another, a recent worry about tomorrow. And then, without pause, they blend them. Suddenly, your old friend is standing in a city that doesn't exist, talking to you about a job you never applied for. And somehow it all feels right. That's the magic of the architects within. They're not concerned with reality. They're concerned with meaning. They understand things you haven't spoken. They sense patterns between emotions you didn't connect. They hold symbols from your past, your culture, your deepest fears, your most tender hopes. They're not always tidy. They don't always make sense, but they're wise in a way that thinking cannot be. Picture this. One of the builders finds a memory of your grandmother's kitchen. Not the kitchen itself, but the smell of it. Warm sugar, vanilla, the sound of humming. They don't recreate the kitchen. Instead, they build a dream train where each car smells like that moment. And as you walk through, you feel comforted without even realizing why. That's how the subconscious works. It doesn't explain, it evokes. And when you become lucid, you're not just a guest in the house they've built. You're a co-creator. You can explore with curiosity. You can say, "What does this mean?" Or simply walk the halls in awe, noticing how seamlessly everything connects. And sometimes, if you're really still, you can meet these architects, not as literal figures, but as symbols. Maybe a wise old guide appears. Maybe a child, a fox, a spiral staircase, a mirror that speaks. Each one might be a piece of you, stepping forward to share something you've forgotten, or hidden, or needed. Let's pause here for a moment. Imagine yourself back in that library. One of the builders hands you something. It's not a book. It's not a message. It's a key. You don't know what it unlocks yet, but you feel deep in your chest that it matters. You tuck it into your dream pocket and you thank them because even though you don't fully understand, some part of you knows you are always building, even in your sleep. And the next time you close your eyes, the architects will be waiting, ready to build again. When we return, we'll learn how to speak to these dreams, not with words, but with gentle intention, like whispering into water and watching the ripples change shape. For now, just rest and let the builders work in peace. Now, imagine you are walking through a garden at night. Everything is quiet. The trees sway slowly, like they're breathing. The path beneath your feet glows ever so slightly, not from lights, but from intention. You don't need to speak out loud here. In this place, even a thought
can bloom into something beautiful. This is the dream's secret. It listens to whispers. Let's imagine that for a moment. In this garden, you stop to sit beside a pool of still water. You close your eyes, breathe softly, and send out a single thought. Maybe it's a question, a hope, a curiosity. You open your eyes again, and the stars above you have shifted, not dramatically, just enough to let you know the dream heard you. Lucid dreaming doesn't always mean taking control. In fact, the most magical experiences often come not from forcing the dream to bend to your will, but from inviting it, gently, quietly, to meet you halfway. Picture this. You're in a lucid dream. You realize it. You feel calm, steady. And instead of changing the world around you right away, you pause. You place a quiet question in the air. Show me something I need to see. Or, what am I holding that I don't understand yet? And the dream begins to change. Slowly, not with loud symbols or flashing lights, but in subtle ways. A stranger walks by and says something oddly familiar. A room appears at the end of a hallway that wasn't there before. A door opens to reveal a landscape that feels like an answer, even if you don't have the words yet. This is the art of dreaming with curiosity, not to manipulate, not to dominate, but to explore. Let's float a little deeper now. You find yourself in a dream forest. There's a tree with glowing fruit. And you remember, you've seen this tree before, in a different dream, in a dream from years ago. That's not a coincidence. Dreams have memory. They have themes that reappear, not randomly, but as echoes, as invitations. And when you whisper to the dream, when you ask, when you wonder, when you listen, those themes become bridges. You begin to form a relationship with your dream world. It becomes less like a movie you're watching and more like a conversation you're having. You learn that fear isn't always something to run from. Sometimes it's just a part of yourself that's tired of being ignored. You learn that strange symbols, like a boat in the middle of a desert, might be metaphors, messages, tiny riddles wrapped in stardust. Let's pause again. Close your eyes in your mind. Take a soft breath and whisper something to your dream. It doesn't have to be profound, just a quiet intention. I want to understand. I want to fly. I want to heal. I want to rest. Now picture that whisper floating like a paper lantern. It rises and drifts and disappears into the soft, dark sky. No rush, no demand, just a gift. And somewhere inside you, the dream hears it and smiles. Because you're not just dreaming, you are learning to dream well. Next, we'll wander into the stories that shaped our understanding of lucid dreams. Myths, magic, symbols, and the ancient wisdom that dances with our modern minds. But for now, breathe, float, whisper softly, and trust that the dream is listening. Now gently close your eyes in your mind and picture this. You're sitting by a fire, not in your room, not in your home, but in a forest older than time. The flames flicker slow and soft, casting golden light on the trees around you. You're not alone. Figures begin to gather. Some with wrinkled robes and starlit eyes, others dressed in feathers or painted in ash, some speaking in languages you don't recognize, but all here for the same reason. They are dreamers. From long ago, from every corner of the world, through every chapter of human history, people have believed dreams were not just stories, but messages, visions, gateways. Let's imagine that for a moment. A shaman in the Amazon curls beside a fire, drinking from a bitter cup of ayahuasca, his body still but his mind walking through rivers of spirit and symbol. In his culture, dreams are not escape. They are instruction. They show you what cannot be seen with open eyes. Thousands of miles away, an Egyptian priest sleeps inside a stone temple, believing that dreams are visits from gods. That what we call lucid dreaming is simply the mind, remembering how to speak to the divine. In ancient Greece, the philosopher Plato wrote that the soul was most free during sleep, that in dreams we return to the world of perfect forms, truth, beauty, spirit. And in Tibet, the monks spoke of dream yoga, a practice of learning to become lucid, not just to play inside your dreams, but to wake up within your own mind, to train awareness like a muscle so that even death itself would feel like another dream. You knew how to navigate. The stories are endless. The beliefs, beautiful. Some cultures believed dreams were prophecies. Others believed they were visits from ancestors. Some believed they were echoes from past lives. Others believed they were journeys into other realms entirely. But almost all traditions agreed on one quiet truth. Dreams matter, and lucid dreams are sacred. They are a place where spirit and self meet on equal ground. Now gently float with me into a story. You're lying on a stone floor in a dream temple carved from moonlight. All around you are symbols: wings, snakes, sunbursts, spirals. A voice, not your own, whispers, "Ask your question." You breathe deeply and say, "What am I meant to become?" The room around you begins to melt into starlight. A giant owl appears. It blinks once and you know the answer. Not in words, not in logic, but in feeling. This is the language of dream myth. A language we all somehow know, even if we've forgotten how to speak it while awake. Even today, in this fast, glowing world of screens and signals, people still dream of flying, of teeth falling out, of being chased, of falling in love. And we ask the same questions people asked thousands of years ago. What does it mean? Why did I dream this? Is my mind trying to tell me something? And sometimes the answer is yes, because dreams are older than science. They are made of the same stuff as myths. And when we become lucid, we are stepping into an ancient practice. One shared across cultures, passed through firelight and moonlight alike. So let yourself rest in that lineage. You are not alone in your dreaming. You never were. You're part of a great silent choir of sleepers, past and present, who wandered the soft hallways of the mind in search of something sacred, something healing, something true. And now we arrive at the final chapter, where the goal is no longer control or meaning or memory, but simply surrender, a gentle letting go. Picture this. You are floating, weightless on a gentle sea of clouds. Not cold, not warm, just perfect. The kind of softness that doesn't ask anything of you, that simply holds you, like sleep itself cupping your thoughts in its palm. You've traveled far, through thresholds and theaters, skies of emotion and ancient temples. You've explored your own mind, like a quiet dreamer adventurer, wandering softly through a world no one else can see. And now it's time to release, not to wake, not to analyze, but to float. Let's imagine that for a moment. You're still lucid, but the need to do anything is fading. You're no longer asking questions, no longer shaping the dream. Instead, you're watching, like lying in a field and watching the clouds shift overhead. Not trying to change them, just noticing. This is the heart of surrender. Lucid dreaming is not always about flying or exploring or changing things. Sometimes it's about being fully aware, as you do nothing at all, just resting in the knowing. This is a dream, and I am safe, and I can stay here as long as I need. Now gently float with me one last time. Imagine you are dissolving into the dream itself, not disappearing, but becoming part of the sky. Your thoughts stretch out like mist. Your breath becomes the rhythm of the stars. You are not your name. You are not your plans. You are not your worries. You are just here, drifting, sleeping, dreaming, and somewhere inside your chest, like a tiny glowing stone, you carry lucidity, not active, not loud, just present, a reminder that even in your sleep, a part of you watches with kindness, with calm, with light. That tiny awareness will stay with you even as your mind lets go completely, even as the dream deepens and the body falls away. Let's pause here, in stillness. No need to move, no need to think. You have nothing to solve, nothing to fix. The dream knows what to do now. The builders are working, the clouds are drifting, the symbols are dancing in soft, silent circles, and you are gently dissolving into rest, like a feather falling onto the surface of a lake, like a lullaby being hummed into the stars. And now, as your thoughts drift into dreams, I'll leave you in silence,